Lobster Magnet. Lobster's a 10, I told you grab it. Welcome to Lobster Magnet's Review the Channel. We are here to talk about Chapter 104 of Attack on Titan. This was a pretty decent-ish chapter. There are things I liked, things I didn't like. So let's get into what I loved. First of all, I love the fact that Eren grabbed, Galliard in his jaw titan and used it to... So as you know, if you've been following the manga and you've been following these series of reflection and reviews, one of the sort of things that's kind of become a meme is, Lady Tiber's side-eye. That she just gives this, really condescending side-eye glance from inside her little crystal prison, and, she just looks pissed. And Eren is obviously sick of dealing with Lady Tiber's side-eye, so he gets back at her in probably one of the most fucked up ways I've seen in a long time, one of the most creatively messed up ways to crack open that shell, in that he grabs Galliard, takes his jaw open, and then puts it around the crystal, and then uses his jaws to crush the crystal, and then he eats her by eating the sweet, tasty Titan juices that come out of the crystal in a Titan milkshake. So assumingly now he is the Warhammer Titan as well. And I was just laughing my ass off at that. It was a really good, fun, gross motherfucking scene. And I loved every second of it. It was an especially creative way to deal with it. I was a little bit disappointed, though, because it felt like we were being set up for Eren to eat practically all the Titans. But assuming, as I've predicted before, what I think is that, after this big failure, the Marlane Titans are going to go to the next generation. And, led by Gabby, they're all going to be really super... They're all going to be, really... One second. I got a message. Anyhow, interruption over. So I definitely felt we were going to get, Eren, get all the other Titans. But, the arc they've been building up to is the idea that, the new generation's going to take over. So, of course, they need, the Beast Titan, the Cart Titan, the Jaw Titan, and, of course, the Armored Titan to go to Gabby and her generation. So it makes sense that Eren should go away with, just the Armored Titan. But who knows? Maybe that's the whole purpose of the series, is that, Eren's ultimate quest is to, eat all the other Titans so he can, reunify them and bring back the Spirit of Ymir and the source of all organic life, and that's the sort of series endpoint. I don't think that's quite it, but given the fact that he's got, I guess 3 Titans in one body. Now that's the... Well, begs the question, though. When Eren's lifespan does end up because of the Curse of Ymir, what happens? Do those 3 Titans just go to random Walldians, or if someone eats him, do they get all 3 of those Titans? The rules of this have not actually been very well specified super well. But, I guess we'll have to wait and see if that's something Hashiyama, wants to get into. Because the mechanics of which don't really make much sense as of right now. But anyway, I just loved the Lady Tiber's side-eye getting punished by being crushed in the jaws of the Jaw Titan. And, the sheer brutality. But the thing I didn't like... we got to see Armin in his colossal Titan form. And honestly, I was disappointed by it. I was hoping we'd get a more radical reinvention of the colossal Titan design. With Armin in it, but it's pretty much the same. I guess the facial structure and the bones are a little bit different, but I don't know. I like the fact that Ymir's Jaw Titan and Galliard's Jaw Titan are completely different animals. That if you weren't told that they were both the Jaw Titan, you would have no idea to assume that they were the same thing. They just look so much radically different. And I was kind of looking forward to the idea that every time some new person gets a Titan form, it looks radically different than what it did previously. So I was looking forward to seeing something a little bit more better for Armin's colossal Titan form. So that did disappoint me. I hope he does more with it. And then there's the fact that okay, so now the big plan with the lights is that they stole an airship and now they're gonna get away. Why do they need an airship to get away? Why can't they just fly away with their goddamn 3D maneuver gear and just get out that way? Like this airship is being touted as the only way they're gonna get out. It's so important that everyone makes it back on the airship. Why is this? I was really disappointed. I, for one, really wanted like the Uber segment where like, you know, Armin jumps out of an airplane and colossal titans and creates a huge explosion that, you know, destroys everything, and then that's how they escape. That would have been cool. Them slowly making their way, you know, from the battlefield in a blimp is kind of lame. And also really confuses me because there's this guy like Haji points out to, hey, Oliel, he's got kind of like an African name. Give me a second, I'll pull it up. Okay, so they're in the giant airplane, and it's all right. It's all up to you, Olagobo. So this is like, God, it's difficult to discuss Mr. Olagobo a bit without trying to like sound racist, but okay, here's my problem with Mr. Olagobo. Olagobo is a black man. Now, generally, you know, we've seen that, like, you know, the outside world beyond the Walldian Jew enclosure has, like, you know, the racial diversity of the real world. We see, you know, people from Africa, we see people from Japan, you know, traditionally Asian people, basically the rest of the world as we know it. And, like, you know, the Walldians are basically this mono-ethnic culture. That they've been completely isolated, and they all look, I don't know, European or something, white European, assumingly. So, and Mr. Olagobo is wearing what looks like a traditional Marleyan uniform. So, assumingly, he's a part of Marley. So my question is, and he looks like he's very happy to be helping out the Walldians. So what is the story about this guy? He obviously, you know, because we've settled that the Walldians live in a basically single ethno-state, that he does not come from there. So he's obviously a part of Marley. So how did they, is he like there, how did they get him on their side? Because everyone in Marley has the, you know, propaganda that the Walldians are, you know, the worst. They're terrible, evil devils. So, did they, like, meet up with this guy in secret? Is Marley also oppressing other people outside of the Walldians, given the fact that they've been, you know, there's been so many Nazi Germany parallels? What is the story of Mr., you know, Olagobo? Is he a sympathizer towards the Walldians because he knows the real truth, or he's seen what the ghettos are inside? Because, like, I'm just curious, because essentially what the Walldians have done is a crime against humanity. This is straight up genocide, massacre. You know, they've killed children, they've killed families, they've killed, you know, civilians. And so what is Mr. Olagobo's incentive to help them steer this airship for these people who are basically the equivalent of Al-Qaeda, you know, in September 11th, you know... Basically, imagine this. That's the best comparison I can think of. If, like, an American airline pilot, you know, on September 11th, helped the hijackers fly the plane into the Twin Towers. That is basically the role Mr. Olagobo is doing right now. And it seems insane, because I cannot see a situation where the Walldians are able to, like, you know, really sell Mr. Olagobo by committing mass murder and just slaughtering women and children and families and civilians and world leaders because of, I guess, their oppression. Unless there's another story. Because Mr. Olagobo gets a great introduction. He's like best buddies with Hanji. He is like saving the day. So there is obviously a story in the fact that he gets a name and he's not just like some generic scouting troop person. Because that's what would make more sense to me, is if, like, you know, they slit the throats of the pilots and then they took it. But Mr. Olagobo is obviously has some importance here. So we'll have to see. I hope it's a story that gets explained, because, you know, basically the, well... Maybe the Walldians are, like, working with another nation secretly because, like, people hate Marley because they control the power of the Titans. And we established earlier that, like, there's a lot of residual hate due to the fact that they have this military resource, even if it's being supplanted by, you know, the real-world technology. But anyway, aside from Mr. Olagobo, I'm not a huge fan of the airship escape route. Because, like, to me, like, one, I don't see why they just can't fly out. They obviously have ships or something, since they were able to get from Paradise Island all the way out to Marley. Why is this, like, so important that they need to get out using it? Why couldn't they just use, like, a Titan explosion and then, you know, all evacuate? I think that would have been a better exit. And I guess we're getting towards the final end of this little action sequence where, like, all the Walldians are, like, you know, running away. But, you know, I would love to hear, like, what the plan was. Because Mikasa implies that Eren did this all alone. And it seems really irresponsible to, like, let Eren basically walk into the middle of enemy territory and risk everything just so he could, like, give them the signal and information. Like there are plenty of other Walldians you could have used instead of Eren. But I guess it worked pretty well. And good old Suffer Boy, Rainer, is... Oh, it's so sad where he's just like, let me die. I want to just go to sleep. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm just so miserable. And, you know, Eren defeats him very easily, and then Eren runs away. And, you know, the Walldians are running away, and it seems like they're in a terrible shape. Peak is in horrible shape. Galliard's pretty much out of the count. Rainer was beaten back very easily. So, yeah, I definitely think we're going to, you know, the next big arc, we're going to be seeing, you know, the warrior cadets inherit the Titans because it's going to be considered to be a big failure. Although, we still don't know if Zeke is alive. I'm going to presume he's alive because I feel like they want to give the Beast Titan form to, like, one of the warrior candidates. So he'll be, like, barely alive or something. I don't think he's dead. I think he, you know, his failure will just be eaten. And that's a disappointment, though, because, like, I really wanted Zeke to have a direct confrontation with Eren Yeager, given the fact that they're half-brothers. Like, you know, that's some rich stuff there. Half-brothers on two different sides, one brainwashed by propaganda, one seeing sort of the truth, and on two different ideological spectrums. That you know, that is what good drama is made of, and I was really hoping that we would, you know, get to see the two of them have at it. But sadly, we did not. Or we may never. You know, Zeke will either be killed by giving up his Titan form, or, you know, just being slaughtered himself. He's dead either way, which would be a shame. Hopefully, whoever gets the new Beast Titan looks cooler than. Or, you know, gets a new form that's, like, different than what we've seen before. But, you know, this is another fun action-packed chapter. The highlight, of course, was seeing Lady Tibber get, like, smashed with the jaws. I greatly enjoyed that. Unfortunately, though, the rest of it was just kind of okay. Like, you know, I've talked to you about, like, how Mr., you know, Oli Gobo, you know, I have a lot of questions, and, like, a lot of confusion about him. And I'm also, like, not super jazzed about this plan with the, you know, goddamn airplane, or blimp. It seems kind of like the most anticlimactic way for them to get there, and I hate the fact that, like, it was built up, oh, we need to set up these lights so they can fly the blimp over there. Ooh. It just felt kind of disappointing for me. But yeah, so if I were to give it, I'd go for a 7.5. Chapter wasn't quite as good as, like, the last few we've gotten, since we've gotten some really great chapters recently. But looks like this action sequence about to end, and things are coming to a head, and we're about to move on to the next thing. And yeah, it looks like it's not ending by chapter 107. No way whatsoever. The best is maybe there'll be, like, a small time jump where it's like, you know, we go back to the walls, we see how much shit has changed, but then it's a question of, like, you know, when Marley, you know, basically leads a massive invasion towards the Wall City. And that'll sort of be, like, close to the final arc. But, you know, it was a decent chapter. I was surprised we got it so early. So those are my thoughts. Thanks for hanging around and hearing my latest musings on the latest Attack on Titan chapter. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I always love your comments. I eat them like bread. They're tasty, delicious to me. And if you haven't already, check out my Irwin video. I really love the effort I put into that. And hopefully you will find it too. I'll include a link after this. And thanks for hanging around. Remember, lobsters and tennis, but don't you grab it. Lobsters making lights.